forget the time or place. We just met, just a girl, honey. I want all the world to see we met. Had it been another day, my head looked the other way, and I never have been aware. As it is, I'll dream of her tonight. Now I'm falling, yes I am falling, and she keeps calling me back again. I have never known the likes of this. I've been alone. I have missed things and kept out of sight. Other girls never quite like this. Now I'm falling, yes I'm falling, and she keeps calling me back again. Take it away. Do it again. I've been alone. I have missed things and kept out of sight.
So why do you choose to play at Washington Square Park?
Because of the environment, the overall environment, the people. It's the one park in the city compared to Central Park or Prospect Park across the bridge and stuff that people actually come to just be. And I live in the moment rather than past and future, and this is a great place to be in the moment.
Cool. How do you experience sound? And are there any problems with listening to other musicians, or sound is a barrier?
I experience sound on multiple levels. I feel sound, and rather than just hearing it, you also feel it, especially when you're playing. I improvise and I write music, and so for me it's just a feeling. And on 23rd and 5th by the Flatiron Building, if I was going 60 miles an hour and should have been killed. And instead, I survived, but that started to change my whole existence. And I ended up coming down to Washington Square Park because I was on crutches for, I don't know, like 5 months, and I had my hip was all screwed up and everything. And I had an electric bike, and I live on 24th Street, so I'd come down 5th Avenue and just get down here, and I'd spend the whole day here because I couldn't really do much else. And what happened was I was down here and I didn't play the guitar at all at that point. And what happened was I was watching these 3 guys play the guitar one day, and the one guy, it was the second day that I saw them, I really liked them, and I went back and they were playing the next day. And I saw this one guy, and I was standing there looking at them, and when they were done, he said, "Hey man," he said, "you're going to play with us." And I said, "No." And this guy was a black dude with dreadlocks, real cool guy, and he's sitting there, he's a percussionist, and he said, "You're going to play with us, man." And I said, "No, I don't play the guitar, but I love you guys, you're good." And that guy, his name's Tyreek, and Tyreek, that summer, with me limping around like that, he took me back up and we'd sit on the benches up there, sometimes for 10 hours a day, and he taught me, and he's a percussionist, but he knows a little bit of guitar, and Tyreek taught me how to play the guitar. And I was terrible. I grew up playing piano and stuff like that, but I never touched the guitar, and he taught me all the chords and taught me this, and my whole ambition at that time was to be able to just play like with him and with these other people to learn songs and be able to play with all the musicians at Washington Square Park, because that to me was magic. And then what happened was about probably 3 months into it, rather than learning songs, I started to learn enough to learn songs and play with everybody, but then all of a sudden I started playing by myself at home practicing, and I went off on this other improvisation kind of thing and just learning and playing my own music. And that was like 2 years ago, and since then I've never learned another song. I learned 3 or 4 songs right away, and then since I started playing for myself, I never learned another song, and I play 2 or 3 hours a day.
Wow.
And I just, and I love it. And I love guitars. I actually have about 30 guitars. I had 2 years ago I didn't have any guitars. guitars, and I have like almost 30 guitars. I went through all the guitar stuff, harp guitars and electric guitars and classical guitars, and, acoustic steel string and acoustic electric and all different types of guitars. And it's been fascinating for me. But that all came from a life-changing experience, getting whacked by a car and then coming down to the park and having that whole thing open. I was open to it, so it happened.
Say thank you, bye. About musicians in Washington Square Park and how they interact with sound. So why do you choose to come to Washington Square Park?
Because you meet lots of wonderful people here, lots of other great musicians come through, and you're on a flexible schedule. You can play when you feel like, you can stop when you feel like. If you play in the club, you've got to go on a schedule whether you feel like it or not.
And can you talk a little bit about the sound barrier, how sometimes that becomes problematic?
If you're talking about in terms of the volume out here, well, sometimes some groups come out with some very large drum sets and they just pound away, and it kind of limits how many musicians can play in the park simultaneously. So that's the only issue I really have with it. I mean, a lot of the drummers are very good, but they're just too loud for this park. There's not enough acreage to dissipate the sound.
And how do you experience sound within yourself?
That's an interesting question. Nobody ever asked me that. I'm not sure what you mean.
Like, how do you respond to sound? Some people feel sound. Some people are really sensitive to loud sounds.
No, I mean, I can tolerate loud volumes pretty well, but it depends on the style of music. I mean, if it's like a funk music band, I can enjoy the volume. Feeling the pressure on my chest and stuff like that. If it's acoustic, I like to hear most like to hear the beauty of the guitars or the vocals.
Cool.
I should know.
Thank you.
Oh, in a couple of days.
So can I ask you why you come to Washington Square to participate in music and be a part of
I love
jams?
music.
Why Washington Square though? What about this park makes it different?
I started coming there in 1999. I liked the different people singing different type of music. And I always liked music. I was a DJ at one time.
Oh yeah?
Retired DJ.
Cool.
So I love music. I love to be around people. Yeah. So I just like music. You know, it makes me feel good. So that's why I come to Washington Square.